Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the GioMoShow, right here on 88.3 FM, WXOU, Auburn Hills, Michigan, Oakland University, and all your wonderful station identification features. I'm your host, Giovanni Moschieri, Sports Media Director here at WXOU, and the GioMoShow is your home for all Oakland University sports and beyond on 88.3 FM. Don't forget to follow WXOU and our MAB award-winning social media platforms, including Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. I am also on those platforms as well, so while you're at it, following WXOU, give me a follow as well, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. The GioMoShow has its own Instagram page as well. To get all the latest news and updates on the show here, that would be at the GioMo Show. And if you missed the live show and you're not with me right now on 88.3 FM or on WXOU.org/live, then you can find me anytime on YouTube or Spotify. So there's no way to miss the GioMoShow. And as usual, we got the classics to cover. We got your Oakland University sports. We got volleyball and men's and women's soccer. We got our final update, our final episode, including coverage of the USPBL as championship weekend has wrapped up. And we get to talk about who won the USPBL. And as you guys know, and as if you guys are watching on YouTube or Spotify and you can see what I'm wearing right now, you would see a fantastic Lions sweatshirt, as the Lions have defeated the Kansas City Chiefs on week one, season opener, in their house, on ring night, against Patrick Mahomes, etc. We'll talk all about that later in the show. And with time permitting, we have a fantastic interview, as I always do. But this one, it's a little bit of a break from the Oakland University sports. This one, we go into a couple of realms that we've entered in before. I've interviewed some of those from the broadcasting, from the media world, including Patty Cesarini, which kind of overlaps with Oakland Volleyball. I've interviewed Chris Platty. That kind of overlaps with Detroit Lions. And this time we got a man in the media from the USPBL network, from Lawrence Tech University, from sometime with the Detroit Free Press. None other than Alexander Johnson is the interview for this week, talking about his broadcasting career as well as his time with the USPBL and, of course, his thoughts on the league and championship weekend. So we got plenty to get into. But before we get started, we got to talk about Bart's Pizza as usual. Before we get started, I already read that part. Bart Basilico reinvented his father's pizzeria business by putting it on wheels. I'm talking a pizza food truck, baby. Bart and his wife Lauren travel all around Metro Detroit, cooking up homemade pies made fresh to order in their 4-layered pizza oven on wheels. You can find them on their website at eatbartspizza.com and on Facebook and Instagram at Bart's Pizza. His last name is literally Basil, so you know he knows what he's doing. And while you're there, make sure to grab a cannoli as well. Bart's Pizza, it's too good. We're going to pause here for a couple other PSAs as well before we get into all the action on the GioMoShow. We'll be right back, 88.3 FM, WXOU. And we are back here on WXOU 88.3 FM. Giovanni Moschieri here for the GioMoShow, home of all Oakland University sports and beyond on 88.3 FM. We're back from the break here, and we're going to get right into it. We got some announcements from WXOU. It relates to Oakland sports, so it still counts. We got, finally, some broadcasts. We got games going to be live on WXOU coming this weekend. We got 3 of them for you. Saturday, 1 p.m., turn your dials to 88.3 FM as Oakland University men's soccer starts Horizon League play at home against Northern Kentucky University. Saturday, 1 p.m. Women's soccer, they play the following day, Sunday at 1 p.m. against Purdue Fort Wayne. And then later, that same day, that very Sunday, 7 o'clock, we got the first broadcast of Oakland University club football as they start their season at home against one of their biggest rivals, one of their biggest obstacles in the NCFA, the National Club Football Association. They face Ohio State. Ohio State's club team, to be clear. They have been the the wall that they haven't been able to cross. They've been the hurdle that's been just a bit too tall for them in the past couple of years. And this year, the team is confident that they can conquer their enemy. They can conquer their obstacle and achieve their goals against Ohio State. So you can hear that game live on WXOU, 7 o'clock on Sunday. So be sure to tune in for that. So I wanted to get that out of the way. I wanted to make sure that you guys know what's going on here at WXOU. Finally, let's get into the Oakland club. Let's get into the Oakland D1 sports. Volleyball. This past weekend, Oakland hosted the Golden Grizzly Invitational. Included such guests as Kansas City, Eastern Michigan, and Chicago State. And let's go through the games here. So, obviously, there was a couple games between Chicago State and Kansas City, Eastern and Chicago, Eastern and Kansas City. We're not going to cover those. Those just happened. They just happen to have been happening in the arena. Let's talk about the head-to-heads, the Golden Grizzlies. Eastern Michigan was their first match where they won 3-1 in a convincing fashion. Kansas City was their next opponent, which was a mirror of the Eastern Michigan score, losing to Kansas City 1-3. I would imagine by the logo that Kansas City are the Kangaroos. And then their final head-to-head match in the Golden Grizzlies Invitational was against Chicago State, where they were swept 0-3. And to talk a little bit about the Golden Grizzly Invitational, I was there for the Chicago State game, and it was the first game that I've been back to in a while. You guys know that I go hard in the student section. Doesn't matter how many students are in the section. If I'm in the section, then the section is rocking. That's the way I like to go about it. So I was there. It was a Saturday afternoon. It was 3 p.m. No reason not to go. I had nothing else going on that day. You know, I couldn't even pretend to have an excuse to not go and see my Golden Grizzlies on their, you know, hosting a volleyball tournament. I had to go see them. So when I got there, or I should say as I was going there, I was walking, and you know, a couple friends of mine just, I don't know, I wasn't feeling it. I didn't have the juices flowing. I haven't been to a game in a while. I was a little tired that day. It was a Saturday. It was cloudy. It was a little bit cold. I wasn't really feeling the energy. And I was, you know, beginning to worry, am I going to be able to bring the juice? Am I going to be able to get the student section rocking? And then, as soon as the doors open to the arena, we hear the voice of Kevin Beers announcing the names and the coaches, and I'm in the zone immediately. It clicks like that. I'm just back into it. We had Kevin Beers on the GioMoShow earlier in May, I believe, on YouTube. You could go check that out. You have to scroll all the way down to the bottom. But we talked to Kevin Beers on the GioMoShow. But his voice, man, there's a reason he's been doing it for 19 years, and it just got me going. Fortunately, the game was, like I said, 0-3. But I had some fun in the crowd. I noticed that Chicago State, they're the Cougars. That's their mascot. And I also noticed that their team colors are green, navy blue, and some black, and a little bit of white. And if you're familiar with the area, if you're familiar with Macomb Township, Dakota High School, one of the, if not the largest high school in the state of Michigan, they are the Cougars. Their colors are green, navy blue, a little bit of black, a little bit of white. So I had some material now, and I let Chicago State have it, calling them, saying, why do you look like my high school team? That's so weird. So I was repeating that over and over again. I have my fun in the student section, but, you know, you always got to keep it light. You got to keep it friendly. I even got a thumbs up from the referee in between sets. I asked him if I was doing okay, and he gave me a good thumbs up. So if you're going to be in the student section, be loud, be proud, be respectful, and have fun. So I was there for the Chicago State game. And then they traveled on the road this past Tuesday, September 12th, to face the Toledo Rockets in their house. And the Golden Grizzlies took them all the way to Game 5. Took them all the way to the final set. And the set is the proper term. Took them to set 5, where they came back with a win, beating the Rockets 3-2 to wash that taste out of their mouth from the last 2 games of the Golden Grizzlies Invitational. So as it stands right now, the Golden Grizzlies are 5-5, and Horizon League play is going to be starting real soon. And once it does start soon, then you can hear it on WXOU as well. Some of their upcoming games would be in the Saluki Invitational. where they will face UT Martin and Southern Illinois before coming, well, on their way back, actually. They stay on the road to start Horizon League play against Purdue Fort Wayne, that being Tuesday the 19th. And then finally, that'll be the next weekend, September 22nd, Friday at 6 p.m., the Golden Grizzlies come back for home Horizon League play against Youngstown State. That's Friday. Saturday, 4 p.m., they face Robert Morris for more Arena Horizon League volleyball. So be sure to get down to the arena or tune in to WXOU to hear the games live, baby. So moving on now to women's soccer. Only a couple games have been played since the last time we covered them on the GioMoShow. They have played Western Michigan, hosting them at the Oakland soccer field, where they unfortunately lost 0-3. Looking at the game here, some of the statistics. Western Michigan had 11 shots on goal. Oakland University, if you're looking at the score, were able to save 8 of them, which with 11 shots on goal, 8 saves, not bad, but Oakland University was not able to return the favor, having no shots on goal all game long. So it was a tough go against the Broncos for a 0-3 loss. But much like the volleyball team, the women's soccer team, they took a trip down to Toledo to face the Rockets, and they came back home with a win, 2-1 in that game. Get some of the stats in that game, actually. I didn't have them pulled up right away. So looking at the away game against the Toledo Rockets, we had scores from, oh man, I'm going to be, forgive me, I'm going to be messing up these names here. I'll be getting them right once I call them on WXOU, along with some of our wonderful WXOU crew. But 51 minutes, 36 seconds, Macy Waringia, man, I know that's wrong, scored off of a penalty kick. Toledo returned the favor only a few minutes later at the 55th minute. But then Oakland University, in the 85th minute, 49 seconds, Jana Frazier gets the winning goal for the Golden Grizzlies, assisted by Olivia Darnell. So just wanted to make those known for the Toledo game. And now for some of the future games. Like I said, Golden Grizzlies only played a couple of games since last week. But for this weekend, you heard me mention it already at the top of the segment, but Sunday, 1 o'clock, at home against Purdue Fort Wayne is Golden Grizzlies women's soccer. That's the start of Horizon League play. You can hear it on WXOU, or you could get down to the soccer field yourself and go watch them. That's what you should do. Here's the thing. Okay, let me break off a little bit for this segment here. Of course, I want you to listen to WXOU. Of course, we want you to tune into the broadcast so you can get your Golden Grizzlies action no matter where you are, however you connect. But if you're on campus and you're hearing me talk about these games and when they're scheduled and when they're played and where they're played, and you hear that they're at home, go to them. Get down over there. Listening on WXOU is great and all, but that doesn't show the same support as it is going to the games, shouting, waving your hands in the air, giving the old OU with your arms for those watching on YouTube. So WXOU sports are here for when you can't be there. But when you can be there, by all means, be there. So back to action here. I wanted to break off because I've always been thinking about talking about that on the show for a while now. So I've finally been able to express those thoughts. So not only do they play at home in Horizon League play on Sunday, but that following Thursday, 5:30, you can see them play Northern Kentucky at 5:30, September 21st. Schedules are still being done for the broadcasting, but you can be sure that WXOU is going to be there, weather permitting. So go on and cheer on your Golden Grizzlies or tune into WXOU. And finally, men's soccer. Got a few games here. I talked about some of those already. So we got September 9th. That was last Saturday. Oakland University, they started Horizon League play. They went to Cleveland State to face the Vikings. And Oakland University, they came back home with a 3-0 win against the Vikings. That is right. I had the stats on this one. That's right. So in the 17th minute, 30 seconds, Owen Smith scored off of a free kick at the top of the box. The 23rd minute, 27 seconds, Mikey Ketterman scored one of 2 goals in this game, assisted by Jace Foster. His second goal, Mikey Ketterman, came in the 31st minute, assisted by Owen Smith and Donovan Phillip, to give the Golden Grizzlies their 3-0 victory over the Cleveland State Vikings. So, well done. What a great way to open up Horizon League play for men's soccer, who I believe are ranked number 3 in the preseason polls of the Horizon League. So some of their future games, again, I'm repeating myself here so that you guys can remember. If you guys know anything about psychology, repetition helps you with your memory. So this Saturday, 1 p.m. on WXOU, you can hear it live, against Northern Kentucky at home. You guys get that? Tune in on WXOU Saturday at 1 p.m. to hear Oakland University against Northern Kentucky in men's soccer. And then, shortly after, September 19th, this Tuesday, they host University of Michigan. That game's also going to be on WXOU. I plan to be on the call for that one. So get down to the Oakland soccer field or tune in on WXOU. And of course, if you can't quite follow all the dates and times and broadcasts and who's on it, GoldenGrizzlies.com is your place to find all the schedules, all the information, all the news. Everything you need to know about Golden Grizzlies athletics will be on GoldenGrizzlies.com. They do great work over there. They do great articles. They do great stat keeping. They do everything that you need to get you what you need. So that is going to wrap up our Oakland University sports. We covered volleyball. We covered women's soccer. We covered men's soccer. And if you missed it and you're tuning in right now and you're late to the show, you're 20 minutes late. What are you doing? You can find it on YouTube and Spotify at any time. Just search the GioMoShow. Ain't no other show spelled like that, so you're guaranteed to find me.
Yo, yo, yo. I'm Jake Masucci from Jake's Takes. I wanted to talk a little bit about my show on my guy Giovanni's own show. And I wanted to talk about a little bit about Jake's Takes. I'm a student manager at Oakland University, and I kind of just talk all things sports. I talk a lot about the NBA, talk a little college basketball. We did a lot of March Madness stuff recently. We talked about NBA playoffs, NFL playoffs, talked a lot about the NFL draft. It's basically just an all things sports show. I really think you guys would enjoy it. And shout out to my guy Giovanni. Love him. But please check out Jake's Takes. It's available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and then it's also available on its own YouTube channel. So please check out Jake's Takes, but please continue enjoying Giovanni's show.
So now we're moving on to the final coverage, the final week of the USPBL season in 2023. We had championship weekend at Jimmy John's Field, and it did not go the way that I expected, and definitely didn't go the way that I hoped. So let's take you through game by game. So for the structure of the USPBL, for those who aren't quite aware, you know, how do you get a playoffs with just 4 teams that play each other all year long? It's simple. You got the 4th seed playing the 3rd seed. Winner of that plays the 2nd seed. Winner of that plays the 1st seed. Simple. So for the first matchup, 4th seed Utica Unicorns, they faced the 3rd seed Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers. And this game, it looked like Utica was toast. It looked like the Beavers were going to send them home. But that did not quite become the case. Utica Unicorns had a huge comeback in the late 4 innings of the game. So here's how the scoring went. So Utica at the top of the first, they're able to get a run in. Then the Beavers, 2 runs in the first, 2 in the second, 4 in the third. They got a 7-1 lead on them by the 4th inning. And did the Unicorns roll over and die? They did not. In the 5th inning, score stayed 0, stayed frozen. But then in the 6th inning, Utica, they get 1 run. They cut into it. 7th inning, they get 2 while shutting out the Beavers in that inning. They shut out the Beavers again and score another in the 8th. In the 9th, with the game, that would be 4-7 in the 9th inning. Or I'm sorry, 5-7 in the 9th inning. Utica scores 1 and 2 and 3 runs in the 9th inning while shutting out the Beavers in the following half inning, bottom of the 9th. Utica Unicorns came back from a 7-1 deficit in the last 4 innings of the game, and they shut out the Beavers the entire time they were doing it. Now, you guys know me, and I'm not a big fan of the Unicorns, but golly, that was a great job. Against the Beavers, too, who were pretty darn close to getting the 2nd seed with the Hoppers. So, Utica moves on in surprising fashion. So now going into the 2nd round, the 4th seed Utica Unicorns, they face the 2nd seed Eastside Diamond Hoppers, my Frogs. And with all due respect to the Utica Unicorns, and with all due respect to my Eastside Diamond Hoppers, this game was a disappointment to see. This one was a disappointment to go look up and research for this game because, I couldn't be there for a championship weekend. But 7-2 was the final score, Utica winning and moving on to the championship game. As a Hoppers fan, you get the 2nd seed. You're looking pretty good. You got the home run king of the USPBL and Joe Burke. You got the relief pitcher of the year nominee in Christian Stelling, Christian the Stash. You got all kinds of hitters all around, and 7-2 is the final score. As a fan, that kind of stinks. It stings. But, you kind of zoom out a little bit. You take a look at the league as a whole. You got the 4th seed winning 7-2 against the 2nd seed. That's pretty darn impressive. Just like their comeback was against the Beavers. And the way the scoring went, just kind of illustrate some of the disappointment with it. So Diamond Hoppers, they were up 1-0 in the bottom of the 2nd inning. And then the Unicorns in the top of the 3rd, the following inning, they get 5. And the game was over then. Each team's Utica stacked on 2. Hoppers had another one in the 8th inning, and that was a wrap. So, kind of stings, but, man, the Unicorns seem to be rolling right now. Coming all the way from the 4th seed, they now are in the championship game against the 1st seed, against the top dogs, the Westside Woolly Mammoths. Bad to the bone were some of the t-shirts that they were selling with, like mammoth bones, like black and white bones. They were selling that kind of merchandise. It was kind of cool. So they faced them in the championship game that was played this last Saturday. All this was Thursday, Friday, Saturday. All these games. So, in the championship game, Utica, in the 3rd inning, score 3 to go up 3-0. In the 4th inning, the bottom of the 4th inning, the Mammoths, they put a little bit into it. They got 1 run. They cut into it. And then for the rest of the game, scores were frozen. Utica shut out the Mammoths. They held them to 1 run. They held them to 3 hits all game long. Utica had 3 runs and 6 hits. And the Utica Unicorns raised another banner for 2023. They won as the 4th seed. They won 17 games, which was 10 less than the Mammoths. And they went all the way to win it. Played every game. Played it impressively in every game. And they raised their 4th banner in the past 5 years. It's crazy. I wasn't particularly happy about it, but you look back at it, and of course, you got to be a neutral observer in the sports media world sometimes. That was impressive. That was really good. So, congratulations to the Unicorns. That's what I'm saying. I'm still kind of shocked at how it went, especially the Hoppers 7-2 going down by allowing 5 in the top of the 3rd inning. That one kind of stung. That one was a bit of a stinger, and I'm sure the players and the coaches feel the same way as well. But congrats to the Unicorns. You guys are the 2023 champions. Hope we got enough room in the trophy case for that one. Jeez. And if you tune in later, like I mentioned before, our interview is with the man who was calling all the games, or some of the games. He was in rotation for play-by-play in color for the USPBL network. Got Alex Johnson on the GioMoShow to talk about his broadcasting career and to talk about his experience, his time, his thoughts on the USPBL. How the championship game worked out. He gave a little thought, a little piece on how Utica did and how Anybody can win no matter the seeding in championship weekend. So once all the scores are settled, once all the seeding is set, it's a free-for-all is what it seems like. So I still keep getting wrapped up in it. Let's move on. Be sure to tune into the end of the show to hear the sneak peek, the premiere of Alex Johnson's interview with me on the GioMoShow. But let's go to a break. Let's get to a short break here, and then the GioMoShow is going to bring you football therapy, the GioMoShow's NFL segment. Going to give you what you need. A doctor's here to give you that football therapy, to talk about week 1, to talk about the Lions win against the Chiefs, to talk about all the surprises that happened throughout week 1, to tell you how many games I picked correctly in week 1. Oh, I'm going to talk about that one too. So we're going to take a short break here, and we're going to get to the NFL for your football therapy on the GioMoShow, 88.3 FM. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the GioMoShow, 88.3 FM, WXOU. The doctor is here. Dr. GioMo is here to give you your football therapy for the week. Week 1 of the NFL has wrapped up, and I'm so glad football's back, man. I needed this. Something has got to accompany a bit of the chilling weather, the hoodie weather that has now come across campus in southeastern Michigan here. I need that football to go along with it, or it just doesn't feel right. But now that it's here, it feels right. So we're going to do it this way. I'm going to give my spiel. I'm going to give my piece. I'm going to say my piece on the Detroit Lions beating the Kansas City Chiefs. Then we're going to go over some of the surprises from week 1. And then I'm going to tell you guys how many games that I got correct in picking week 1 games. You guys will be surprised. I sure was surprised, but not really. So we'll get into that in a little bit. So your Detroit Lions, as well as my Detroit Lions, went into Arrowhead, as I'm sure you've been hearing all week long. It has been literally 7 days since the game. And, we've had some time to sit on it, to stew on it. That's why I like the show be on Thursdays, is because it gives you plenty of time to think about it, to chew on it, so that I'm not sitting here screaming in the microphone, and I'm not, enraged, and I'm not upset or overly joyed about the game. If you want those, then you can tune in an hour earlier on Thursdays for Detroit Rant Radio, hosted by Harj Buttar. That's the place. If you want loud screaming, if you want that raw sports emotion, then Harj has got you covered. Me, we got a little time to settle here on the GioMoShow. So, what are some of the takeaways from the Detroit Lions? I got them listed out. I wrote them right after the show, just like, what are some bullet points? What are some quick things that came to mind as I was watching the game? And the biggest thing, and you guys are going to boo me, which I'd be surprised because I can't quite hear you guys, but my first thought was that if both Chris Jones and Travis Kelce were playing for the Chiefs, we would have got smoked. We would have. I think that there was enough situations, more so in Kelce's case, there was enough cases and enough plays and enough mistakes by the Chiefs that you can definitely notice the absence of Travis Kelce. A lot of drops. Kelce doesn't really drop. A lot of scrambling plays, and Mahomes was trying to throw it to somebody who didn't catch it. Kelce would have caught it. A lot of things like that. So I really noticed that in the game. Now, does it put an asterisk on it? We'll talk about that a little bit later. But I just think we would have gotten smoked. But we didn't, because they didn't play, and we played who was in front of us. That's what's important. Someone else I saw, David Montgomery is the real deal. David Montgomery was worth every penny, and I would say is a remarkable upgrade from Jamal Williams. We love Swag Daddy here. There's no bad blood. He did what he wanted to do. He's still being himself down there in New Orleans. But, man, Montgomery can do some things, especially in between the tackles, especially, for some extra yardage behind that offensive line. David Montgomery is the real deal. I also noticed that Marvin Jones Jr., the former Lion, part-time Jaguar, now Lion again, he had a really bad game. That was rough. He had, I believe, 3 or 4 drops. He had a fumble in the red zone. And while he did contribute in some of the blocking schemes, and he did contribute to the Amon-Ra St. Brown touchdown pass in the first quarter or in the first half. If you notice that they were lined up both on the left side, Marvin Jones was able to get a chip on the defensive back that allowed St. Brown to come across the middle with a little bit of space. If you look at the replay, that was Marvin Jones Jr. Unless it wasn't, and I'm wrong, but I think that's what I saw. Otherwise, Jones had a bad game, and that was tough to see. And it kind of showed a little bit. It wasn't a crisis, but kind of showed that we're missing Jamison Williams. We would like him back, or at least, there's a little bit of a depth thing going on with the Lions wide receivers. It was apparent in that game. What was also apparent is that Josh Reynolds, Khalif Raymond, Amon-Ra St. Brown, those guys are the Detroit trio of wide receivers. Because they've been together for this is now the third year, so you could tell that Goff and everybody, the whole team is comfortable with each other, and they had some great production in the game. Short passes, nothing too crazy, nothing too otherworldly. It's not like we had Tyreek Hill or Justin Jefferson, but you could tell that those were the go-to guys. And as the game went on, they got a lot more focus on the offense. Speaking of the offense, Jahmyr Gibbs, whoo-wee! That's going to be nice. That's a nice weapon. That is an insane offensive weapon, tool, piece, whatever noun that you want to describe him as. That guy is nice with it. And he only had, I think, about 7 carries, about 7 touches. And, with Seattle coming up next week, who knows? We might be seeing more Gibbs. We might be seeing a little bit more of that 1-2 punch. A little less focus on Montgomery. A little bit more on Gibbs. We'll see what happens. But the sky's the limit with that kid. I think it's fantastic. Speaking of sky's the limit for that kid. Not much of a kid anymore. Now he's going into his second year. Aiden Hutchinson. Not only did he get completely screwed that game and would have had, I think, more than 2 sacks. I think he would have had 2+. If the line was 1.5 sacks, I would have bet the over. If, the officiating was a little bit more correct, less lenient towards the home team, usual stuff. But for me, I'm glad that everyone noticed it. I'm glad the TV broadcast noticed it. I'm glad that the rules analyst was hollering about it. I'm glad it's not just us thinking we're screwed and oh, they always do this to us. Everybody noticed it. Everyone knows that the dude is shaking his leg. The dude is lined up 1.5 yards behind the line, back from the line of scrimmage, and Hutchinson was getting held like crazy. But I believe I saw this. I can't remember where I saw it or if it's true, but I think it still rings true. The Lions pass rush, and I say this, and a big part of this is Aiden Hutchinson, pressured Mahomes on 40+% of his dropbacks. So 40% of the time Mahomes was getting disturbed. He was getting harassed. He was getting rushed into making a decision, throwing some a little bit more inaccurate balls to receivers that couldn't really catch, that day at least. So Hutchinson in the pass rush, Josh Pascal as well. They were putting into the business. John Kaminsky was there too. God, I love Kaminsky. He is my guy. He played with the club all last year because he broke his thumb, and even after he broke his thumb, he still wore it. He doesn't have it now, but Kaminsky, he had a great play chasing out Mahomes at the line of scrimmage. So the Lions pass rush was for real. What else did I notice? Sam Laporta did a pretty good job for a rookie tight end. He had some involvement in the offense, and it got kind of weird because he was being thrown to on short crossing routes with the clock winding down, wasn't able to get out of bounds, not enough for a first down. So it wasn't Goff's first option to throw it to him, and he was getting rushed into throwing it to him sometimes. But Laporta did a pretty decent job for his debut. And as far as the rest of the Lions defense, you can see the improvements there. I can see the improvements, including addition of rookie Brian Branch off of the brick hands of Kadarius Toney. Branch brought it back all the way, 50 yards, and he was, I believe, it was some like stat where he was the fastest recorded player in the game. Him running to the end zone, he clocked in at the fastest time. It was like 20 plus miles an hour. Like, it was awesome. Tied the game coming out of halftime. Gets a pick six to tie the game in a game that seemed like it was out of our hands. It was out of our control. It was starting to spiral. It looked familiar, if you know what I mean by that. Brian Branch brought it back. Thank you, Kadarius Toney. And the rest of the defense, man, those are some improvements too. Garner Johnson, not so much as Sutton, but still absolutely noticeable that the Lions defense, they could get stops. They can, reduce the amount of points that the other offense can score. They can make them punt. And at the end of the day, that's all you can ask for. Some stats from there. In the second half, the Chiefs only had 2 catches from wide receivers in the entire second half. And the Chiefs throw the ball a lot. Even in a half of a game, they're going to throw the ball. Wide receivers caught 2 of them the whole half. And also, in the second half, Chiefs were 0-7 on third down conversions. Lions stopped them every time in the second half. I'm not used to that. That's weird. That's strange looking. But I'm very happy about it. That it was just a great game. And my final piece on it, you guys heard me talking about it last week, the Social at the Circle event that we had near Hamlin Circle on Oakland's campus. We had a watch party. For those watching on YouTube, you can kind of get a picture painted here, but we had a projector going, playing the game. Someone was kind enough to stream it for us. On a projector, like a stand-up projector that was outside, and it was windy, and it fell on me 3 times. I was there with a microphone. I was there with the speakers. I had the rosters up, but I couldn't really read them because it got dark really fast. And I was calling the game live, a little more casually, with the crowd, talking a little Lions trash, but that was so much fun. And thank you to everybody who came to Social at the Circle. Thank you to everybody who showed interest in joining WXOU Sports. We got a couple people that were interested in doing what I was demonstrating. But, not so much for football, but for other sports. But, shout out to everybody who came and watched. We had a Packers fan that was there and, was reasonably nervous about Jordan Love, but we'll get into how he did in a little bit. But Social at the Circle was a great time. And finally, Mike Tirico. I probably said finally like 3 times for the Lions, but let's talk about the Mike Tirico comment at the end of the game. I remember being watching it live. We were closing up the Social at the Circle. I still had the laptop on it. I just couldn't close it. I had to watch the rest of it. And I heard Tirico said, "This has an asterisk to it." That's not something you usually hear from a commentator after a big win, especially when it's the Lions and especially when it's ring night against a Super Bowl champion, yada, yada, yada. It's not something you usually say. But Tirico, he responded to it. He said that, if you take that little snippet, of course it's going to sound bad. Him as a broadcaster, I have great respect for. He's one of the dudes. He is, when you hear that Mike Tirico's calling the game, that's a good thing. You're happy about that. He's a real professional. And I'm pretty sure he grew up in Michigan or something. I remember hearing that. So I got nothing but respect for Mike Tirico. It was a bad thing to say. He defended himself. He said it was out of context. You got to understand that the context of the game kind of warranted a comment like that. I disagree. I thought it was a little disrespectful, but he's a broadcaster. I know what it's like now. I've done it a few times. Sometimes you say stuff. Sometimes it doesn't come out as pretty. Sometimes you could be right, but it comes off a little, with a little bit of an edge. But I don't think Tirico hates us. I don't think it was scripted. I don't think they told them to say because the Chiefs lost that it doesn't count. I mean, we all kind of knew that. I mentioned that, not to put an asterisk on the win, but it was a factor. So yeah, what he said was kind of mean, but I respect him as a broadcaster. I'm not going to kill him over it, and we'll move on. He'll call the games. So I'm not taking this so personally. it's broadcasting. He talked for like 5 hours, probably 6 including pre and post game. He's gonna say something like that, right? But the thing is with broadcasters, and something that we got to be careful of, that one little bit could mean everything. So, kind of a mixed bag. Watch what you say, but don't fold immediately. He knows what he's doing. Anyway, that's kind of me going round and round about the Tirico comments. And finally wraps up the Detroit Lions segment of football therapy. And now, for some of my patients that require a taste of National Week 1, other teams as well, let me give you some of the highlights, some of the things that I noticed. So, the 49ers took a dump on the Steelers. 30-7, I think was the final score. I had a feeling, and I knew that the Steelers, they were getting some hype on offense. Kenny Pickett, ooh, he's looking good. Kenny Pickett, ooh wee. Najee Harris, George Pickens, Deontay Johnson, ooh wee. Scored 7 points. And Kenny Pickett did not look ready for, let's be respectful here, for the best defense in the league. Yeah, second year, you're going up against the most loaded roster in the NFL. So, I don't know why it was such a surprise to everybody. The Steelers having a good offense hasn't been a thing in a very long time. So, yeah, it's going to happen against the best defense. So, yeah, but I didn't expect it to be that bad. Let's be real. That was a butt kicking. Anyway, moving on because we're getting low on time here. I got to be sure to give some time to Alex Johnson on the GioMoShow, who was our interview for the week. And pardon me for the pause there. So another game that was happening was the Packers at the Bears. That was a division game. That was one that I was going to be watching closely. I was going to be paying attention to that because it's in division. But I thought it was a interesting matchup. You get to see if the Packers, if Jordan Love's got it, does Justin Fields got it? Does the addition of DJ Moore really change that offense? Well, watching that game would be your answer to it. And the answer was, the Bears are still owned by the Packers. That is the conclusion that everyone got from that game. 38-20. I don't know why I don't have the scores up, but Packers beat the crap out of the Bears in their house, destroying their dreams of not being the team that had the number 1 overall pick last year. That happened. They traded it away really quick, so we forgot. I kind of forgot, but there's a long way to go from the number 1 overall pick. It's not an instant. It's not an instant boost. Although they were trying to make it seem like that, they were giving the comparisons of Justin Fields to Jalen Hurts when he got a good receiver in his third year. Josh Allen getting Stephon Diggs in his third year and really making him boost. Didn't quite seem to be the case against the Packers. And I talked to a Bears friend of mine, Angelo Grappito, who was on the second edition of Football Therapy on the GioMoShow, so you could go back on Instagram and on YouTube and Spotify to watch that. But he had some words to say about the Bears, and they are as follows. I asked him, what do you think of the offense? He said, it wasn't horrible at first, but became horrible pretty quickly. Offensive line is staggeringly bad. The defense was maybe even worse, though. Love had time to read War and Peace in the pocket every snap, and half of his throws were to guys that just didn't get covered. Now, he said about Jordan Love, I didn't think he looked impressive, but the Bears straight up fielded a high school defense. Those are the words of Angelo Grappito, Chicago Bears fan. That's what it looked like to me, and I'll leave it at that. Browns still own Joe Burrow and the Bengals. That game was, I didn't watch that one, but you see the score. It's a lot to a little. This is the Browns' 6th win against the Bengals out of their 7 matchups. Myles Garrett was not shadow boxing, but shadow hooping in front of the center. He was doing a crossover, like basketball, and then crossed over the center. It still got by him. It was another butt kicking for the Browns against the Bengals. In other news, Tampa Bay beat the Vikings. That one I didn't expect to happen. Baker Mayfield looked really good. He looked like he was in command. He looked angry. He would make some runs. Maybe this was a rumor, but apparently he figured out the Vikings' defensive signals, so he knew what was happening. That was just kind of a scrolling through social media kind of thing, but I still thought that was really impressive. Pardon me, I'm multitasking here on the GioMoShow, getting ready for Alex Johnson's sneak peek of the interview. But we still got your football therapy to wrap up, and I'm going to make this one quick. So, anyway, Tampa Bay, they beat the Vikings. It was hilarious. I didn't expect it to happen. And then Monday Night Football, tragedy struck. There was a lot to that game, but in the first 4 plays, you guys have heard about it. It's the New York Jets lost Aaron Rodgers to a completely torn Achilles on the 4th play of him on the Jets. He's done. That was his Achilles. Gone. And now they had to field Zach Wilson. Not as prepared. I mean, because why would you be prepared if Aaron Rodgers is going to be quarterback? I mean, not that had no idea what he was doing, but you know what I mean. You're never going to be as prepared when you got that guy at quarterback. But that was a heartbreaker. It's a complete bummer. It's almost not fair. I want an Aaron Rodgers. I go back and forth on this. On one hand, I wanted him to stink, but of course I don't want him to be injured. But I was also really buying into the Jets. Their story, at least. Were they going to make the Super Bowl? I don't know. They had a good shot at it. But that fan base, much like the Lions, is experiencing a renaissance. Is experiencing actually good football. Has unlike the Lions, championship-level defense. Top of the league. Like, they are the defense. Along with the 49ers and Dallas Cowboys. Definitely best defense in the AFC. That should be, that's without question. And to lose your quarterback like that, the one piece that you guys were missing, you guys got other pieces, but that was just such a heartbreaker. And that sucks. But on the other hand, Rodgers didn't die. He got injured. He's still going to be on the sideline. He's still going to be helping Zach Wilson. He's still going to be contributing in some way to the New York Jets. So he didn't die. People are writing obituaries for him. And it's sad, yeah, but let's cool it a little bit. They still got that defense. They still got Breece Hall. They still got Garrett Wilson. And even Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook and Breece Hall are insane as a running back duo. So you still have everything around you except the quarterback. Kind of like last year, but now those guys on defense, Sauce Gardner, Quinnen Williams in particular, some of their linebackers, I don't know their names, but they were insane too. But you got everything besides quarterback. You could still win with that. You can still win with Zach Wilson, with Aaron Rodgers in his ear. I would imagine that's going to be better than if he didn't have Aaron Rodgers in his ear. So the Jets, I think, are in worse shape, but overall not bad shape. But that still sucks. As far as the Bills go, Josh Allen is on fraud watch. I got to do it. That's 3 picks and a fumble and choke the game away with all due respect. But the dude's on fraud watch. To bring my basketball segment into this, I'm keeping an eye on Josh Allen. He's gonna have to clean it up, or he's gonna be like a Brett Favre, where interceptions are just part of his game, and you could just accept that and have fun with it, kind of like a Jameis Winston kind of thing as well. So I'm gonna give a few minutes here to a preview of Week 2. Seahawks and Lions at home. Blue ski masks are up. The ski mask thing, I go back and forth on it. It's awesome to have everyone with the same thing, but a ski mask? Like I don't know. It's cool. It's going to grow on me. I'm probably gonna get one if they restock them, but it just looks kind of silly, I think. But I love the spirit of it. That's all that counts. So they're playing the Seahawks at home, who have kicked their butts plenty of times before in previous meetings, I should say. But I think this one's tough. I think I had my season predictions, back in the summer in May, I had my predictions. I had them beating the Chiefs, but I had them losing to the Seahawks because it's almost too perfect to go 2-0 and then play the Packers, or play the Falcons, I should say, and then play the Packers. It's iffy. There's got to be a loss in there somewhere. I would hate for it to be against the Packers, but I'm split between this one. And I made my pick. I'm putting my wallet on one side. I'm putting my heart on the other side. I'm probably going to say Seahawks as a betting man, as a person who was playing pick'em. I'm picking the Seahawks. But am I going to be mad when the Lions beat them and I'm wrong? I ain't going to be mad. That's the beauty of the heart bet, I think it's called. But we'll see what happens on Sunday. And that is football therapy. I would hope to see you guys next week for your next session of football therapy. And we're going to give about 5 minutes, unless I don't think anybody's waiting for me. I'm not sure if RBJ not the summer sessions now, but DJ RBJ, I'm not sure if he's waiting there in the back for me to finish up. So, in case he is, it's standard to finish 5 minutes early to give the other person a chance to set up. I'm going to have to omit the preview of Alex Johnson's interview. But on YouTube, on Spotify, go watch it. Alex Johnson, he has a remarkable broadcasting career. He's a rising star. He has, he's been calling it since high school. He went to De La Salle High School. Apparently they have a broadcasting club. He called games at Ford Field for De La Salle. He calls them for Lawrence Tech. He calls them for USPBL. He did high school games for the Detroit Free Press. The dude's got a resume. And I would love for you guys to check out YouTube, subscribe, Spotify, 5-star it. Do everything you can. Go find Alex Johnson. Whether he's going to be posting highlights of his USPBL season pretty soon, so keep an eye out for that on his YouTube channel. Check out his social media at @Johnson Sports, I think is his Twitter. I'll put it in the link in the description. Now, I'm using YouTube language now. So I'll leave a link to all his information in the description of this so you guys can go find out what Alex Johnson's up to and what he's all about on the GioMoShow interviews. But until then, that's going to close out this week. Hope you guys enjoyed Oakland sports, USPBL, and football therapy on the GioMoShow this September 14th. We'll see you next week on 88.3 FM WXOU. This is Giovanni Mosheri signing out.